Welcome to the podcast dedicated to all things related to England over 60s cricket. These veterans of the game, custodians of its history, who carry the game's past, define its present and prove that age is no barrier to brilliance. Legends of experience who wear the three lions with pride and still very much players to fear. I'm your host, Rash Mahmood, and this is Willows to Wisdom, where cricket's wisest voices take centre stage. Hello everyone, and welcome to the third episode of Willows to Wisdom. Thank you for joining me. It's been a busy few weeks in seniors cricket since episode 2 was aired. The county championship is in full swing. The eagerly anticipated World Cup and England line squads were announced. The first international action of the summer has taken place, and the second round of fixtures in the over 65 regional championship have been completed. And I've been travelling around the country speaking with loads of people, getting their views on seniors cricket, as well as getting people's thoughts on the podcast, and it's genuinely been very positive. So the England Selection Committee have nailed their colours to the mast in naming their 16-player squad for the World Cup in Toronto. But what about the other teams taking part? And when and where are England playing? Well, I've got that coming up. Now, those of you who follow England seniors cricket will know how prestigious a tournament the World Cup is. The sacrifices the players make to get to a World Cup should not go unrecognised. Over and above the financial aspect of paying for 3 weeks in Canada, there is a mental and physical strain that tournament puts on players. And having been fortunate to be in Chennai, India in 2024 for the World Cup, I can tell you firsthand that the pressure is immense and the smallest thing can upset individuals and the team. All of us want England to go one better than in 2024, and collectively we need to back the 16 players selected, regardless of our individual feelings in terms of selection. So, this year's World Cup features 14 teams, split into 2 groups, Group A and Group B, both groups having 7 teams. In Group A, we have the defending champions Australia, alongside Sri Lanka, Pakistan, the host Canada, South Africa, Wales, and a new team for this edition of the World Cup, the emerging nations. Group B has England, New Zealand, the USA, India, Zimbabwe, the West Indies, and Scotland. Now, both groups are tough, but on first glance, England appear to have a slightly easier group to navigate. They will lock horns with 3 of the teams they were grouped with last time around, New Zealand, the USA, and Zimbabwe. Now, we'll have an in-depth look at the World Cup shortly before the tournament starts. So for now, here are the dates for your diary in terms of the England matches. England play a warm-up match against the host Canada on Friday the 7th of August before they start their World Cup campaign against Scotland on Monday the 10th of August at the Paul Coffey Cricket Ground. Next up is the West Indies on Wednesday, August the 12th at Terremoto Cricket Ground, with Zimbabwe the opponents the very next day, Thursday the 13th of August at the same venue. After a rest day, England resumed their campaign against the USA on Saturday the 15th of August at the Max Ward South Ground, and then take on India on Monday the 17th of August back at the Paul Coffey Ground, and finish their group fixtures the next day, Tuesday the 18th of August against New Zealand at Terremoto. The semi-finals take place on Friday the 21st of August, with the final scheduled to take place on Sunday the 23rd of August. So, 6 matches in 8 days, including 2 games back-to-back, which is really going to test the physical and mental attributes of the playing squad. Now, if things go to plan, the final group game against New Zealand looks potentially key in determining final finishing positions in the group, and a lot could rest on that final game. Now, as I said earlier, we'll have an in-depth look at the World Cup closer to the tournament starting, but in the interim, get in touch with us. Let us know your thoughts about the groups and how you think England will do. When I have details about the streaming and the game times, I will let you know, but keep an eye on the England 60s social media platforms for updates in relation to the tournament. And talking about how to get in touch with us, here's how to do so. Now, here on the Willows to Wisdom podcast, we want you to be involved. If you'd like to send a question in, or have a comment or observation about over 60s cricket, then you can get in touch a number of ways. In the episode notes, you'll find a link to fan mail. Click on the link, it's completely free to use, and we will read your message out on the show. But don't forget to leave your name and where you are contacting us from. If hearing your voice on the podcast isn't for you, then please send us an email Our email address is willowstowisdompodcast@gmail.com. That's willowstowisdompodcast@gmail.com, and that's all one word. And talking about getting in touch, you can also comment or message us via the England social media platforms. And to run you through where you can find and access them, here's the England social media manager, Harrison Burridge, with further details.
Have you enjoyed listening to this podcast and want to keep a closer eye on the England 60s team's progress? Then open your favourite social media app and search for England 60s Cricket. You'll be able to find the team on X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok and YouTube. Hit follow and have a front row seat to the summer's cricket.
Thank you, Harrison. So please do, folks, follow us on all the social media platforms and send us a message in via the fan mail link or indeed email to get in touch with us here at the show. We really do look forward to hearing from you. Now, it may surprise you to know that the England over 60 team do not receive any direct funding from the ECB. We are reliant on the goodwill of the players and the continuing support of sponsors. So if you'd like to be involved in sponsorship, please get in touch and we'll pass your details on to Paul Bradley, who will be more than happy to discuss what your sponsorship will bring. And to give you an example of how far-reaching England over 60s cricket is, last year there were over 4 million clicks across the various social media platforms. Our YouTube channel had over 137,000 views, spanning some 14,000 hours of viewing in 55 different countries. So the opportunities for individuals, companies and corporations to gain exposure is there for all to see. That said, our work with the over 60s continues due to the generous, loyal and continuing support of our main sponsors, those being Stonehill Sports, Sporter Tours, NV Play and Clean Clad. On behalf of the England management team and everyone connected in and around the team, thank you for your continuing support. Now, the Lions squad for the 2026 summer was announced shortly after the World Cup squad was. 26 players were announced, with some familiar names included. Jason Corn retains the captaincy, and the team will be managed once again by Paul Gelder. Now, it's a very strong Lions side with the likes of Graham Shaw, Mike Palmer, and Kevin Watson adding vast international experience to the squad. A number of players who made their debuts for the Lions last summer and who have had Ashes and international experience are also included, with the likes of Steve Small, Mark Eames, Razi Ahmed, Lee Self, Ian Barton, Chris Baumer, Martin Ford and Charles Schofield gaining deserved inclusion. Now, there's a lot of talented individuals in the squad, and keeping everyone happy and content during the summer is going to be a difficult job for the Lions management team. There was a lot of media interest in the squad due to the selection of the former England international goalkeeper Nigel Martin, and the increased exposure on the squad due to this sent the England social media into a frenzy. The Lions play a pivotal role in introducing players into a higher grade of cricket. Some players don't always make the jump from county cricket to the international ranks, and the number of games the Lions will be playing this summer will give us all a chance to see who could possibly make that step up if needed, or indeed selection for future tours, including India in the National Over 60 Championship early next year. Now, congratulations to all those selected, and when your opportunity comes, grab it with both hands and put yourself in the spotlight. A number of the Lions games will be streamed live, including games against two touring sides from Down Under in Geelong and Western Australia, as well as games against the UK Indians and the Welsh Dragons. So there'll be plenty of opportunities for players to impress. Good luck to all involved. England and the Lions had their first competitive action of the summer, taking on Scotland. First up, it was England playing at Marton Cricket Club on the 14th of May, with the Lions scheduled to play the next day at Seaton Carew Cricket Club. Now, I travelled up to Marton with my fingers crossed for better weather than a couple of years ago, when the corresponding fixture was abandoned without a ball being bowled due to rain. Now, on arrival, some 90 minutes before the start of play, it was raining heavily, but hopes were high that the game would start on time, with the forecast for intermittent showers and sunshine. England gave debuts to 4 players, who were presented with their England caps before the start of play: Mick Haynes, Alan Whitman, Phil Hilson and Mohammed Zahid, and congratulations to those 4. Now, as the players were warming up and dodging the showers, I caught up with the two respective captains out in the middle, just after the toss. Here's what they had to say. Okay, out here in the middle at Marton, 4 seasons in one day. I'm pleased to say the sun is starting to poke out. The toss has just taken place behind me, and I'm with the two skippers, Ed Gordon Lennox from England, Clark McConnachie from Scotland. Clark, starting with you, winning the toss, electing to bat, looks a very good pitch.
Yeah, the pitch looks nice. It's very firm. The covers have been on, so it's taking a little bit of a risk with the cloud cover and things like that. But yeah, hopefully we can put on a good total and put England under a bit of pressure later on in the day.
Super, it's a wry smile on his face. Just a one change from the team that was published on social media, Clark. Tony Bennett, Lancashire's Tony Bennett out. Nigel Clark coming in. I don't know much about Nigel.
Yeah, Nigel's been around the Scottish cricket scene for a number of years. He's an opening batsman, so we've brought in like for like. And Nigel's been in our squad, so it's a chance for him to put his name forward for World Cup selection, and he'll play today and tomorrow.
Super stuff. Now, the 2 games last year, obviously chasing a big total of 300 at Selborne, got within 40, but a very close game at Seaton Carew, our venue tomorrow. There is improvement in this Scottish side, and ahead of the World Cup, these games, a chance for you to just finagle a few things, try a few people out, and I know you had quite a successful tour over the north of England, playing Durham, Yorkshire and Lancashire. More and more players are getting exposed to international cricket, so it's a great thing for Scotland in the player pool, because it is a smaller player pool than England.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a small player pool. The good news is we've added to it over the winter. A couple of guys have turned 60. A couple of other lads have come along who have been playing regular cricket and be part of what we do. So we selected a squad of 24 and we'll whittle that down to 16 for the World Cup, and that will be announced on Monday. So as you say, these 2 games are a brilliant opportunity for people to put their name forward and shows what they can do against what is, we well know, is top-class opposition both days. So no stiffer test than we're going to have today and tomorrow.
Super stuff. Clark, thank you very much for your time. I'll let you get back into the changing room. Ed, we're out here. I said the sun was out, but it's starting to rain, so I won't keep you too long. Listen, always pressure on England, no more so than the first match of a summer season. Even more so, it's the first match of a summer season that includes the World Cup.
You're right, Rash. But what a privilege and what a joy. And I find myself hugely excited. We've just had a chat in the changing room. 12 guys, there's 4 who can't be here today, and they are very excited. And the difference, of course, is they know they're going to the World Cup, all being well. And so we can support each other. We can put the opposition under pressure. We can build as we go. And we're very, very excited about it.
And so you should be. Listen, I would not like to have been on that selection committee. I had much scratching of heads. So many talented players weren't able to be selected, of course. But a great opportunity today. Do you think setting your stall out, naming that squad and having the vast majority of them playing here today, other than the 4, does it increase the pressure? Because there's a lot of scrutiny on the selections, obviously. There's a lot of interest in English seniors cricket. Does that ramp up the pressure even more? Or do you think these are good players, just go out and perform?
Yeah, Rash, look, on selection, as you said in your great Willows to Wisdom podcast, when you announced the squad, there's a whole load of stuff that's gone on around the side, which a lot of people don't know. So, I personally asked them to respect that, and the selection committee have got to where they got to for all the reasons that they think are right at the time. In terms of pressure, I mean, looking at the guys in the changing room today, you wouldn't think there's any pressure at all. But, we know that we've got a whole season of Championship cricket to go, looking at those scores every week to see who's getting them and not. It's natural, but we need to take that pressure off. And, Mel and I will be doing all we can to help people perform at their best.
So, Ed, thank you ever so much indeed. I'll let you get back in as the rain starts to come down. Ed, thanks for your time. So there were the views of the 2 respective skippers just after the coin toss. And as I finished speaking with Ed, the rain came down again, prompting another delay. However, after a short, sharp shower, play was able to begin, with Scotland opening up with Graham Garden and Nigel Clark. England opened the bowling with one of the debutants, Mick Haynes, with Phil Deakin his opening partner. And it was tough going for the Scotland openers early on, with variable bounce and some definite movement off the pitch. And it was Deakin who struck first for England, trapping Clark LBW right in front to give the umpire a straightforward decision. Clark out for 2 at the start of the 6th over, Scotland 12 for 1. And with that wicket, Phil Deakin moved past Jim Phillips to become England's leading over 60 wicket taker. And Deakin struck again in his very next over, again with his first delivery, this time having Garden caught by Zahid. Garden out for 13, Scotland now 20 for 2. But he wasn't finished there. as with his final delivery of the over, Stevie Allison edged a simple chance to Steve Aston behind the stumps. Allison out without troubling the scorers, Scotland 20 for 3 and a double wicket maiden for Deakin. Scotland needed to regroup, and whilst it was slow going, they did manage to get to the 16th over before they lost another wicket. This time, Peter Moses being clean bowled by Whitman, giving him his first international wicket. Moses out for 4, Scotland 44 for 4. The Scotland skipper, Clark McConnachie, was at least showing some resistance, and Scotland passed a 50-run mark, but he was the next batter out in the 24th over, clean bowled by Mel Hussain. McConnachie out for 33, the score 69 for 5. Michael Ingram was given out LBW for 8 at the start of the 27th over, off the bowling of Mel Dobson, Scotland 76 for 6, and a further 3 runs were added off the next couple of overs when the rain returned, and caused play to be suspended after 28 overs, with the score at 79 for 6. Now, despite some sunny intervals, the rain returned at regular intervals, and with a forecast for more heavier rain during the late afternoon, play was abandoned for the day shortly before 4 p.m. So, no result in the end, but a good day on the personal front for Phil Deakin, becoming the leading England wicket taker, taking his England tally to 54 wickets, and he finished with figures of 4 overs, 1 maiden, 3 wickets for 5 runs. Many, many congratulations, Deeks. Now, it's difficult to evaluate this curtailed performance. Haynes, Whitman and Zahid all had a bowl on debut, which will no doubt settle their nerves going forward. Deakin was simply unplayable. But the Scotland batting was poor, and they would no doubt be looking for an improved performance the next day when they took on the Lions. So, after the abandonment of the match the previous day, the England Lions took on Scotland at Seaton Carew, with our guest on the show this week, Ian Barton of Lancashire, being the Lions skipper. Now, there was much interest in this game due to the announcement of the former England international goalkeeper Nigel Martin being named in the starting lineup. Alongside Martin, there were also a number of debutants, including Martin, being presented their Lions caps: Paul McEwen, Colin Cliff, Roger Hyatt and Ian Woodall, and congratulations to all of them. In addition to those making their debuts, Kevin Watson and Graham Shaw, stalwarts of the England seniors over the past few years, were also included. England won the toss and elected to bat, and it was the skipper who opened up with Steve Small, and both batters were positive from the very start. Barton, continuing his fine form with the bat, was particularly impressive, and together with Small, punished anything short or loose from the Scottish bowlers. The 50-run partnership was reached relatively quickly, and the pair continued to bat well together, with Barton retiring on 50 not out. The score passed the 100 mark when Steve Small was run out for 42, the score 103 for 1. Neil Jackson looked to continue his fine start to the season, but he was out for 20 with the score on 133, being caught by Peter Moses off the bowling of Shahid Mahmood. Graham Shaw was the next man out, clean bowled by Mahmood for 17, the score 152 for 3, and Scotland had done well to stem the flow of runs. Mahmood was in a groove now, and England had no apparent answer, losing 3 wickets for the addition of 4 runs in 4 overs, Martin and Hyatt both being dismissed without scoring, and Watson being dismissed for 2. England now 156 for 6. Colin Cliff looked to get England back on track, and despite the loss of Charles Schofield and Cliff retiring not out having scored 25, it was left to Paul McEwen and Ian Woodall to share a fine partnership to get England to 220 for 7 after their 45 overs. Pick of the bowling for Scotland by a very long way was Shahid Mahmood, who returned figures of 9 overs, 1 maiden, 4 wickets for 28. Scotland found it hard work against England the day before and would have been hoping to put on a much better batting performance. However, they struggled mightily against some fine seam bowling from the Chief, Paul McEwen, and Chris Baumer, who ripped through the Scottish top order, bagging 2 wickets each to leave Scotland on 31 for 4. In truth, Scotland were never really in the hunt to chase down the England total and lost wickets at regular intervals, with Charles Schofield outstanding in taking 4 wickets and Ian Woodall bagging himself a brace, as Scotland were all out for 75 after just 25.4 overs, the Lions winning by 145 runs in a dominant performance. Schofield finished with the outstanding figures of 7.4 overs, 1 maiden, 4 wickets for 22 runs, but was ably supported by McEwen, Baumer and Woodall. So a good start for the Lions, and much to like about how they went about the game. For England, the way they were bowling against Scotland, I'm sure they would have been chasing a relatively low score as well the previous day. How much can we learn from the two matches is debatable. What we can definitely say is that this was a very good start to the season, and winning and playing well are good habits to have. For Scotland, well, they will look to regroup, and much needs to change for them if they want to be competitive in the World Cup. But congratulations to England and the England Lions on two very good performances. Well, we've reached a part of the show where we hand it over to you. Just a one question this time around and two suggestions. Our question comes from Gary Oliver in Derby, who asks, why are there no streams of the County Championship games? Well, thank you for your question, Gary. I would hazard a guess that it comes down to money, like most things do. The host grounds for the County Championship will have to add the county fixture to their schedule, which does incur a cost for streaming purposes. Who pays for that extra cost would be the question. It's doubtful the host club will get any extra revenue from it, and if not them, then the cost would be on the two sides taking part, and I'm not sure the county sides would welcome that. Now, a couple of years ago, the first 11 final between Yorkshire and Lancashire was streamed live, with yours truly providing ball-by-ball commentary. I don't know who paid for myself and Steve Deller, who assisted me on the day, to provide the stream and commentary, but I can make some inquiries and update you and the listeners. Now, we've had two people make suggestions via our social media pages. The first comes from Martin Pierce, who suggests interviews with former stars of senior cricket. Well, it's a great suggestion, Martin, and is certainly something I can look and try and include in future episodes. Our second suggestion comes from Philip Chudley, who suggests plotting the course of international seniors cricket from its inception to the present day. Well, again, Philip, it's a great suggestion, but it sounds like a lot of work, and at present, I just don't have the time to devote to it. But I'm sure there is somebody out there who knows someone who probably does know a lot about seniors cricket. So please, if you are that person, get in touch, and I can look to get in touch with you and see if we can incorporate it into the podcast. I think it would be a very informative and enjoyable series to be involved in, and I'm more than happy to collaborate if someone out there is already doing something along those lines. Well, that's the list of questions done for this episode. My thanks to Gary for his question, and thank you to Martin and Philip for their suggestions for future content. The second round of fixtures in the regional over 65 competition took place on Thursday the 21st of May. The South West Falcons took on the South East Saxons at the Brownswood Ground in Bath. The Falcons won the toss and put the Saxons into bat, and as they had done in the previous round, the opening pair of Andrew Steggall and Gordon Morgan provided a solid platform, reaching a 50-run partnership, before Steggall was stumped by Cornwall's Anton Luton off the bowling of Somerset's John Courtney. One wicket brought another, as Mark Shepherd was bowled by Cornwall's Hugh Rogers with just a further run added. And Falcons didn't let up, with Chris Trevitt falling LBW to Courtney. The Saxons losing 3 wickets for 8 runs in 3.5 overs. Well, could the Falcons press home their early advantage? Morgan was the next batter out, clean bowled by Courtney, who took his 3rd wicket, the score 70 for 4 at the drinks interval. And despite some resistance from Surrey's Mike Redfern, who scored 35 before he was caught off the bowling of Cornwall's Trevor Lee, wickets were lost at regular intervals, with the Saxons eventually all out for 131 after just 38.1 overs. The standout bowling performance for the Falcons was that of John Courtney, who returned figures of 9 overs, no maidens, 4 wickets for 28 runs. And Hugh Rogers, Trevor Lee and Nick Marmont helped themselves to a couple of wickets each. The Falcons would have been very confident as they went out to bat, but things didn't go all their own way, being reduced to 81 for 3 in the 14th over, and their victory target of 132 seemed a distant one, as they then lost 3 wickets for 3 runs in 5 overs, to leave them precariously placed at 86 for 6. But despite losing a couple more wickets, the Falcons got home, thanks in large part to Marmont, who was 30 not out at the end, alongside his partner Trevor Lee. The Falcons reaching 132 for 7 after 28.1 overs, winning by 3 wickets. Down at Foxton Ganter in Cambridge, the Northern Superchargers took on the Eastern Echoes, and the Superchargers won the toss and elected to bat, but suffered an early setback, with Lancashire's Tony Bennett being adjudged LBW off the bowling of Norfolk's Andy Gregory in the first over. which brought Durham's Tony Birbeck to the crease. And together with Yorkshire's Martin Watkin, they shared a partnership of 82 before Watkin was bowled by Hertfordshire's Gareth Wynne for 33, the score 84 for 2. Derbyshire's Richard Merriman joined Birbeck, who passed the 50-run mark, and the pair set about the bowling, with Birbeck bringing up a fine century and the pair passing the 150-run mark before Merriman was caught off the bowling of Lincolnshire's Steve Armstrong. Noddy Dearden, the Supercharger skipper, joined Birbeck out in the middle, and after a 58-run partnership, the score had reached 214 when Dearden was out, caught off the bowling of Hertfordshire's John Smith. And Smith struck again just 4 balls later, dismissing David Lee's LBW, the score 220 for 5, with 5 overs remaining. And with Birbeck smashing the ball to all parts of the ground, the 250-run mark was passed, with the Superchargers eventually finishing their innings on 284 for 6 after their 45 overs. Tony Birbeck remained not out on 167 off just 125 balls, with 25 fours and 1 6. An absolutely magnificent achievement. Well, in reply, the Echoes had no time to hang around, and they opened up with the ever-reliable Cambridge opener Nigel Gadsby and Bedfordshire's Jeremy Page, who shared a 50-run opening partnership, and at 20 overs in was sat at 84 without loss. But that wily character Noddy Dearden made the breakthrough for the Superchargers, having Gadsby trapped OBW for 55 off 72 deliveries, to score 88 for 1. Colin Walters from Suffolk joined Page, and the two progressed the score on to 143 when he was bowled by David Lees, and with Steve Armstrong the next man to go with a score on 142 with just 15 overs to go and another 143 runs required. The task seemed just a little bit beyond the Echoes batsmen, who gave it their best shot, but in the end finished their 45 overs with a score of 213 for 7, with Page top scoring with 71. Ian Frost was the pick of the Superchargers bowlers, with figures of 6 overs, no maidens, 3 for 23. So the Superchargers winning by 71 runs. And the final fixture took place at Bicester in North Oxford, where the Midlands Mavericks took on Cricket Wales, with Cricket Wales winning the toss and electing to bat. And after an opening stand of 41 between Mark Williams and John Lewis, Williams was the first wicket to fall, being clean bowled by Warwickshire's David Pine. The score had reached 53 when Lewis was the next man to fall, stumped by Warwickshire's Kev Bissett off the bowling of Pine. And just past the halfway point, the top scorer from round 1, Stuart Carpenter, was the next wicket to fall, caught off the bowling of the skipper Nigel Moore, to score 94 for 3. Rob Franklin continued his good batting, passing his half-century before eventually being caught on 64, giving Pine another wicket, the score 159 for 5. And Wales added another 40 runs in the remaining 7 overs for the loss of 2 more wickets to leave them 199 for 7 after their 45 overs. The Mavericks bowled very well indeed, with Pine and Moore taking 3 wickets apiece. Now, the Mavericks made an excellent start to their run chase, with Rob Drake and Oxfordshire's Bill Manga opening up, and the pair made a very good start, sharing a century partnership and then some before Manga fell when the score was on 134, having scored 76. Warwickshire's Mo Azam joined Drake out in the middle, and despite Cricket Wales's best efforts, they were not able to find a breakthrough, with Drake and Azam sharing a 69-run partnership to steer the Mavericks home, winning comfortably by 9 wickets. Drake finished on an unbeaten 82 and Mo Azam on 39. So, round 2 completed, and once again there were some outstanding individual performances, but play of the round for me, well, there has to be Tony Birbeck, reminding everybody, as if they needed reminding, just how good a batter he is. So the standings after 2 rounds have the Superchargers and the Falcons sitting atop of the group, undefeated, having won both of their matches. Next come the Mavericks and the Saxons, with Cricket Wales and the Echoes yet to get off the mark. The next round of fixtures take place on Thursday the 18th of June, when Cricket Wales take on the South East Saxons, the Midlands Mavericks take on the Eastern Echoes, and the final fixture of the round sees a heavyweight clash at the top of the table as the Northern Superchargers take on the Southwest Falcons in what promises to be a blockbuster of a match. Please come along and support if you can. I've put a link in the episode notes to the competition website. Congratulations to all the players, officials, scorers and umpires once again, and to all the grounds that hosted. See you in 3 weeks' time. Now, my guest on the podcast this time round is Lancashire's Ian Barton, and I interviewed Ian just shortly before the bank holiday. Now, we did have some technical difficulties in this recording, folks, so apologies if the sound dips in and out. There was some work being done in the local area on my broadband. Hence, the internet kept dropping out. But we've done as best and hopefully cleaned it up as best I can. I hope it doesn't spoil your enjoyment of what was a very entertaining interview. Okay, my guest today on the Willows to Wisdom podcast is a very shy, retiring fellow from Lancashire. His rise into the senior ranks, if not meteoric, is somewhat different to the path taken by other players. After debuting in the summer for the Lions, he was included on the tour to India to play in the over-60 national championships, where he played very well. Now, fast forward a few months further down the line, and not only was he included in the 26-man line squad, but was line skipper for the recent match against Scotland. He's made an absolutely blistering start to the season with the bat, and will no doubt look to continue his fine form for the rest of the summer for both Lancashire and the Lions. Now, not only is he a talented batter, but he's also a radio star, co-hosting BBC Radio Lancashire's Inside Edge. He's also a co-commentator for BBC Radio Lancashire, covering Blackburn Rovers football. It's my great pleasure to welcome Ian Barton to Willows to Wisdom. Morning, Barts.
Morning, Rash. That's an intro. Thanks, pal.
That's all right. Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so, buddy. Thank you. It's very nice of you. Thank you.
No, you're more than welcome. Listen, thank you for joining me. Now, when we sat together in the freezing cold and damp in the commentary area last September in the West Midlands, when the Lions versus Scotland, the final game of the Tri-Nations, could you have ever believed how far you would have come in such a short space of time? Literally 8 months later on, so much has happened in your cricketing world.
Yeah, that's Rash, really. The answer to your first question is certainly no. I couldn't. It's just been a bit of a whirlwind, hasn't it? Obviously, when you're 60 years old or whatever, 61, it's, to see what's gone on has just been amazing and, let's say, shocking to a degree in a nice way. It's been brilliant.
Let's start with your most recent one then, Ian. Being named line skipper for the match against Scotland. Now, it must have been a fantastic day for you and your family. It helped, of course, with a dominant victory. But what was it like? I mean, it must have come right out of the blue, with the greatest of respect to you.
Yeah, it did, obviously. Obviously, I really enjoyed playing. I just love playing cricket. I always have done, and I always will do. This has been a complete breath of fresh air to me, finding out about the overage seniors cricket. Yeah, obviously had a fantastic time in India, when we went across to India in late January, early February, and just loved being around the lads and having the crack and the team spirit and everything was brilliant, and the banter and everything about that trip was great. So yeah, I was hoping that I could make the World Cup squad. So many good players playing overage cricket, over 60s cricket in England that it's an absolute honour to even be in the thinking of the selectors. And I know I was very, very close to being selected. I've been told that by the selectors. So I was proud of that. But then to get asked to captain the Lions was just absolutely brilliant. I was when I got the phone call off Paul Gelder, I was a bit shocked, really. But yeah, and absolutely loved it, Rash. Loved it.
Well, I mean, loved it. You skipper in and opened the batting. Another 50 retired not out against Scotland. But just what was it like captaining that team? You had the likes of Graham Shawsey and Watto, Kevin Watson. Experienced, vastly experienced international players. I mean, what was it like, skippering them and laying down the law?
Well, they'll tell you, I mean, the lads were brilliant. I was nervous, obviously, when you get asked to captain your country. And I appreciate it's the Lions, it's not there soon enough, but it was just, the lads were brilliant. I went up on the Thursday to watch the first team. I thought, well, I'll try and get up there early and meet some of the first team lads. Unfortunately, obviously, the game was rained off, as you know, you were commentating on it, and it had been rained off by the time I got there. But that was a nice feeling to be around some of the lads that have been up. Mel was there, Nick was there. There was lads there who'd been on the Lions tour as well. Deeks, obviously, So it put me at ease a little bit. And then the day itself, I just thought I'm just going to do it my way. You know, I wasn't overawed by any of the players that were there. Graham, I spoke to Graham on the Thursday, and obviously Watto. And I must say here now, Watto's been a really, really great help to me, because I was so chuffed when he was in the side, as I was with Graham. You know, when these are experienced players, and Steve Small, who's a top, probably somebody else had as well. When I go through that side, off the top of my head, I can't remember. But they were just brilliant with me, and I tapped into them. Yeah. I said, you know, I'll be doing it my sort of way, but I'll be coming to you two, you three, and you know, tapping into your knowledge. And they were just fantastic, mate. And I can't thank the players highly enough of how they were on the day. It was a bit manic before, because Paul Gelder, again, he was brilliant with me. But you've got to do so much, Rash, before the game when it's
you do.
Yeah, you know, and which was brilliant. The seating crew, the setup was great. We were there early. I mean, I was there at 9:10 for the 11 o'clock start, and I got in the dressing room, and the five new lads, they were already there. Yeah, so that's how keen they were. So that was brilliant, and it just went fantastically well. And I can't, like I say, can't thank the lads enough for their attitude and the way they were. And just said before the game, really, I just think it's as important for us all to, obviously we've got to be nervous, but it's important for us all to enjoy the success of other players in the team more than yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's how you build a spirit, and how you build, you know, get a togetherness and a will to win. And the lads always bought into it, and it was just brilliant. And yeah, I did a few bitey things, like obviously I was out there batting, and I was finding it reasonably easy, Rash, and not reasonably easy, but I felt in good nick. Batted, but like I say, I'd had to give 5 new caps out before the game, obviously, and make speeches, which was a massive honour. But it takes time, and close to the start, and you've got your team photos, and you're tossing the coin, putting your blazer on. So I was a bit, when I went out to bat, I was a little bit frazzled because you've had so much to do before it. But yeah, I felt good when I got out there, and Steve was a big help, and it was great to bat with him, because he's a good friend. We've only met each other 12 months ago, but I get on great with Steve, and he's a top lad. And then when I got to a 40 odd, quite quickly, I thought, right, if I get to 50, I'm going to retire, which I know you're not meant to do, and it wasn't a game where but I thought, these lads have travelled from all over the country to play for England, and they don't want to be watching me. I wanted them to be part of the game. So
good.
So when I did get to 50, I ran off. I spoke to the skipper of Scotland, saying, "Is it all right?" And he said, "Yeah, if you want to do that." And I think Steve thought, "What the heck's he boy doing now?" I hadn't told Steve, and Shawsey was next. Well, Shawsey was in. Shawsey, you should have seen his face. He was a bit perplexed, was the lad. He said, "What are you doing? You've got 100 nailed." I said, "No." I said, "No, it's not. You're in next." And he was like, he just couldn't believe what I'd done. But anyway, eventually he got up and went in, and. Yeah, it was great, mate, because that's about me. I want people to enjoy the cricket. I want them to be involved. I want them to be in a team where they all feel part of that team, and everybody's just as important as each other. And I thought that was a bit of I didn't know it was a statement, but it just showed that I want people to be selfless, and that I'm selfless, and the rest of the lads bought into that as well. So that was brilliant.
Yeah, excellent, and it certainly was an excellent performance, winning by I think 145 runs. Now, Ian, you mentioned briefly when you were talking about that Scotland game, meeting a few people that you'd been on the Lions tour with in India. Now, I've asked a few of the players who toured India earlier this year for their thoughts, so it seems only right and proper to ask you, what did you think of the tour?
Absolutely incredible. Just a life. Well, once in a lifetime. Potentially could be going back again. But the experience for me, Rash, was just unbelievable. And not the cricket was amazing, but just to be travelling to India, and yeah, it was inspiring, really, and I absolutely loved it. But I think the best thing, and I think a lot of the lads and the ladies that were on the tour as well, it was just a fantastic atmosphere
Yeah.
throughout the trip, and the way that everybody got on and the crack we had, and there was no hassle at all. It was brilliantly organised. Obviously Bradley's amazing at stuff like that, and Paul Bradley was just absolutely outstanding with his organisation skills. And just the number of people that said, because there's some experienced people on there who've been on a number of tours, Rash, and
They had, yeah.
And they said it's the best tour they've ever been on by a long way, and with everything out the crack, and like I say, the team spirit, the bonding, and everybody got on great, and there was no hassles whatsoever. And I hope I helped a little bit in that. As you said, I'm quite an outgoing sort of guy, but I just want everybody each other's successes, and I think that rubbed off a little bit, mate. It was a fantastic trip, unbelievable.
It did indeed, and
I was so proud. Yeah.
Well, I mentioned in my introduction here your somewhat meteoric rise into seniors cricket. Now, yours isn't a traditional route into seniors cricket. It's slightly unconventional, isn't it? So tell us how it started. Yeah. How did you get into the senior ranks?
There's a number of people now, they have no idea that there's, over 50s cricket, over 60s cricket, over 70s cricket. I did know that there was over 50s cricket because I'm a bit of a cricket badger, and I've obviously loved it and been heavily involved in cricket, in one club, Longridge, all my life. So I tried to get in the Lancs 50. I didn't have any luck at all. I don't know who was running. I made a couple of phone calls, but shall we say they weren't too sort of friendly and forthcoming. I think half the time it's because I played for a club called Longridge Cricket Club, which is a small town very small town outside Preston. And in our pomp, we didn't play in a league with professionals. This all taught Lancashire League pros and all that. Well, we always believed, the lads who played for Longridge, that we were so sub standard to the Lancashire League or to the Northern Premier League or whatever, because we played on a poor ground and poor, facilities in comparison, and we didn't have a pro. What we realised as we all got older together, all of these mates playing, that we were really good cricketers. And, many a time we'd play Lancashire League, Northern League clubs and Central Lancashire League clubs and whatever else. And if they didn't have the pro, we'd beat them convincingly in cup competitions. Yeah. By the time we were sort of 30-odd, we all realised we were decent cricketers and doing really well. But when I tried to get in Lancashire, I think, because where did he play at? Or Longridge, or forget him then, because he didn't play with a pro. But so that used to frustrate me. So I waited till I got to 60. I thought, right, I'm going to have a real go at this. I stopped playing for Longridge. My last game for Longridge first team was at Stanley Park, Blackpool, where obviously, it's a county ground. I think I was 56, playing for the first team. I got a number, eventually got through to John Sharples and, said, he said, come to Nets. So I went to Nets, went to every indoor net at Bury. So it's a 50-minute drive for me, every net for 10 weeks in the winter. And when I was batting in the nets, obviously not all the first team, they were in and out the first team lads, but I thought, I think I'm still can do it, and some of the 70s lads were coming up to me and saying, oh, great to have you, Ian, you're 59, you're 16 mates, just what the first team need, a young fit lad who can open the batting and whatever else. So I thought, great. Anyway, so when it came to the start of the season, I thought, dying to get in. But unfortunately, the first game, I was in Punchestown. I go to the races every year.
Yes, you do.
7 or 8 mates. We go over to Ireland to the Punchestown Festival. So unfortunately, I wasn't available, Rash, for the first game. So I thought, flipping out, that's probably going to cost me, because obviously if the first team win, they're going to keep the same side, which is what happened. I was in the second team away at Yorkshire, at Castleford. So I was revved up. I was really looking forward to it. I thought, I'll open the batting and hopefully make a statement and whatever, because he'd asked me what position I'm at and all that. But I wasn't aware of how Vets cricket works, basically. You shall we say, a few people try to dominate games, don't they? So I got to Castleford. We bowled about 120 odd, a wet track. It had been a thunderstorm overnight. So we get in the dressing room, half time, and chuff, we've done well. And the captain says, right, we should knock these off, guys. Well, here's the batting order. So he got to 6 and I still wasn't named. And I thought, oh my goodness. So I was either 7 or 8, I think 7 in the seconds. And I thought, like, I'm not, in no way am I conceited. I speak my mind, which is for, I've always done, I always will do, but I'm a third person. And I thought, I was number 7 in the second team after been at the nets and done really well. Anyway, at number 7 I was, and he said, that's where you're batting in this team, mate, Ian, make the most of it. So after 5 weeks, I hadn't batted. I played for the second team 4 or 5 times. I'd got more wickets than runs after 5 weeks, and I can't bowl. So I got 2 runs and 1 wicket. 2 wickets and 1 run. So my mates were saying, Barty, what are you doing? Why are you trailing all over just to field for the second team? I said, well, I want to play. I know I can still do it. Anyway, so I get asked to go to play for the first team at Yorkshire, and that's where I met Kev.
Yeah.
Who has been, and obviously some of the England lads there as well. There's quite a few of the England team were in that team. Again, I went as a fielder. I batted 8. I took a really good catch that day. Again, that sounds, I'm not being big-headed. It was running the hard ones, Rash. When you're running backwards, and you get hard edge, it's blinking hard when it's over your head. And I managed to backpedal and took it at full strength, running to my left. The Yorkies, that they stood up and applauded the catch because it was in front of the pavilion. And I thought, oh my goodness! And Kev was the leader of that, and he came up to me after the game and asked a lot about me and said how well I'd fielded and whatever else. And they were really good, the Yorkshire boys, and that gave me a bit of confidence. But yeah, and then another 6 or 7 weeks, Rash, I played for the second. By which time my mates were just going, "This is a joke, Barty. You're a quality player. You're not even getting a gig." I said, "Well, I know. Why are you going to field? Driving over to north of England just to field." And I said, "No, I'll prove my point. I'll prove my point to these lads that I can play." And then luckily Glenn Bullock Glenn had been away, and Glenn came over back to captain, and he got me up to 6, and then I didn't get in twice. But luckily at the end of July, which was sort of just the knockout stage, you just started. When I got my chance, we were 40 for 4 against Derby, Leicestershire, I think.
Leicestershire,
it was, and it was it? I always say Melvin or Mervyn. I'm going to go with Melvin.
Melvin Holmes.
Correct. Well, Melvin was bowling really well. He's bowling quick, and he got in the England side, didn't he, on the back of that season?
He did.
And
yeah.
he was very impressive. And I went up to him after the game and actually said to him, "Thanks, mate, for making me feel like I'm a cricketer again," because he was bowling at a decent lick, doing a bit with it, and it felt like proper, like sort of age group cricket again. And anyway, we were 40 for 4. I came in, I was really scratchy early on, so I was so nervous. I got 70 odd not out, and we won by 6 wickets or whatever. And obviously then they all thought, not so bad, because the top 4 were the big boys, you know what I mean, and they were all out. So then I got in then, and then I think I got 90 the next week at Rottenstall against, I don't know, Norfolk, and then I got 90 odd. So I just ended up getting runs, and then luckily we got to the final, didn't we? We beat Yorkshire in the final in a rain-affected game.
Yes, that was at Oakmore, wasn't it?
It was, mate.
Yeah, hat trick.
Hat trick by Steve Harris.
Stevie, yeah.
It was a great, so that was my first taste of cricket, Rash, overage cricket, and we ended up winning the county championship. So I thought, flipping heck, right, this is all right, but it took me a long time to get in there, as you know. But once I got in, I thought I'll prove to the powers that be at Lancashire, first team or second team, that I can play. But not just that, I'm a team player, me. A lot of people would have, because you just go in fielding and, batting at 8 and not getting in. A lot of people would have given up on it. But I'm a team player. I believe the team's better than the individual. If I wrap up because of that, being a soft lad from where I'm from, that's just being soft. And I'm not soft, and I love cricket, and I want to help my team. And hopefully by getting in and them giving me a chance, we won the county championship. I scored quite a few runs, and that's how I kicked on from there, really, bud.
Yeah, well, and you haven't looked back since. Well, unconventional it might have been, Bart's, but I think from what you've done, no room for you sitting on the sidelines and batting at 7 or 8, even though it's a very, very talented and powerful lineup that the Lions have, and indeed England. Now listen, you've started this season like an absolute house on fire. Unbeaten 50s twice against Scotland, the 5th highest score in county championship history, scoring 178, and you back that up with another century. I know there's a little blip in between. But has your inclusion into the line setup given you more confidence, or is there some other reason your play is on, well, what seems to be a different level at the moment?
I think that's astute, Raz. I think playing for the Lions, putting the England Lions badge on and whatever, it does raise your game. It does make you realise that you're obviously a good player, whether you're a batter, ball, a keeper, all round, whatever you are. You obviously realise you've been recognised and your stats are decent. So yeah, I think the real reason though, that's why saying on another level, and obviously, yeah, of course I've had a good start, you know what I mean. But I've been given the chance, Rash, and the bat tends to dominate the ball, mate, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
There's a lot of reasons for that, as you know, and all our listeners will know, mate, who obviously play the game as well. So anyway, luckily I got the opportunity to spoke to the skipper and said, look, I really would like, if possible, John, to open the batting, because that's where I've always played, and that's, like I say, my last game for the first team at Longridge was opening the batting at Stanley Park, and I was 55-year-old or something in the first team. So obviously that's where I've always batted. Anyway, luckily John Punchy said, yeah, by all means, yeah, you can open this season. So he gave me a chance to open, and that's where I wanted to bat, and I knew that I'd got to take the opportunity. I didn't quite know, Rash, I was going to take the opportunity to the level I have done. But yeah, it's where I want to bat, but the other thing, Rash, is that I want to bat there, but I don't want to bat there every week. If I'm getting big runs and lads are having to watch me bat and get big runs, I don't want to bat there every week, because I want other people to have a chance to play cricket. And at the end of the day, in this level of cricket, unfortunately, we're a lot closer to the end than we are to the beginning.
That's
right. I don't want to see lads bloody travelling all over the gaff to watch me bat and get 100. Good for me, but it's not good for the team. I get that if we win, but there's more to cricket at this age than just winning constantly, because people, it's a mental health thing, and people want to have a do, and we see people. I think you see people leaving teams because they're not getting a do. They're batting at 8 and they're fielding and they're not bowling. And I stuck at it because I'm obsessed with cricket and I love the game, and I knew I wanted to prove people wrong. That's what I've done all my career. But I don't want to be batting opening every week. I want other people to have a chance, because that's, to me, what cricket's about. And that's why I did it when I captained the England Lions. If the lads buy into the team, and no individual's bigger than the team, if lads buy into it and they all know, they feel they're really part of this team and they've got a great, camaraderie, and they want each other to do well, England will win. Simple. England will win. England Lions will win. Lancashire will win. Because that's just the way cricket is. You've got to be part of it, and you don't want to feel like you're not getting a do, because that's not fair. And like I say, we're 60-odd-year-old. We're not young kids, and it's not right at under 11 level if lads are not getting a do, and it's certainly not right at over 60s cricket.
Well, no, and I'm sure our listeners, there'll be quite a few of them sitting on the edge of the seats going, do you know what? How refreshing is that to hear? And it is, but listen, you play the game like that, you're open and honest, and it's infectious. But, I couldn't agree more with your sentiments. That's really, really well said.
Thanks, Rash. And that's just me, and the Longridge Cricket Club that I've been involved with. Like I say, when I joined Longridge as a 16-year-old kid, there was a really poor club, but we've grown it now with the help of a lot of people, but obviously having the right direction and driving it. We finished second in the Northern Premier League last season. Before we won the Lancashire Cup at Old Trafford against Ormskirk, who were the national champions this year. We won that in 22. We got through the final year after. We've got a thriving club with 4 teams on a Saturday, senior teams, 2 Sunday teams, about 10 or 11 junior teams, a girls team. Well, and 2 grounds and an amazing setup. And luckily, we're playing. I've arranged the game against the touring Geelong team, the Geelong team coming over from Australia. They're going to play at Longridge on 1st of June. But so me and a lot of others have driven that club from being the real bottom of, looked down upon, to now everybody goes, oh, Longridge, yeah, they're a really good club. They're a big, big club and all that. Well, you only do that by having people like, well, you've got at Longridge, myself and whatever, and lots of others who think about the club first and not their individuals. And that's what I've found in senior cricket. Yeah. I think there's a lot of people bother about themselves. I don't bother about myself. If I'm good enough, I'll get in anyway. I bother about the team and the club, and we've got a motto at Longridge, which is just above the dressing room door. We've got a motto as we go out, and it's got the Longridge crest, Longridge Cricket Club crest, and it's got club first, team second, self third. And that's the motto that we've got, because your club's everything. The team you're playing for is you're going out onto the park. Yeah, you want, but you're third in line to them three things. And that we've got that. And I've found at senior cricket, I think we need to change that a bit. I'd love to be able to do it. I did it a little bit with the Lions when I was captain there last week. The lads were amazing with me, and they were so complimentary after the game and sent me so many lovely messages. And it was interesting after the game last week, because I asked Charles Schofield to lead us off. Yeah.
Yeah, you took a four for Charles.
He's a good form. He's a lovely, lovely fella. And that's the thing with the Lions. People they're so lovely, and they're just bothered about the team, and it's just so refreshing. And I said to Charles, come on, mate, you're 4 for 20. Off you pop, you lead us off. And he went, no. And all the lads went, no. You're our captain, Barty. You take us off. And I went, well, anybody could captain you, lads. No. And I thought, flipping heck, how nice is that of the boys to want me to do that? I'd done nothing in the second innings at all, you know what I mean? I'd got 50 minutes time. But so that straight away makes you think, well, you're involving people and you're wanting them to do well, and then they respect you for that, don't they?
Yeah, they certainly do. And just a quick note on Charles. I know I saw him for the first time last summer. I was mightily, mightily impressed with him, taking 4 for 28 against Scotland. And unfortunately, he can't make the trip out to Toronto. I think he would have merited serious inclusion in that squad. But there's a lot of people who missed out. But good luck to Charles and the rest of the Lions going forward. And if we just stay on the Lions, that's because we've seen the progression and the Lions set up and how it's feeding into the senior squad. I mean, you could look at the likes of Timor Allen, Mel Dobson, Neil Brathwaite, have all been given their opportunities in the Lions and going forward. Now, there's a lot of chances to impress during the summer with the Lions fixtures. Obviously, Geelong are coming over, Western Australia, you've got the Welsh second team, UK Indians, etc., etc.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the Lions, and how do you see them progressing?
My thoughts are that it's been an absolutely wonderful idea to have an England second team, an England feeder team, or whatever you want to call it, mate. Because, well, for two reasons. I don't know. I don't know when it was. Was it brought in last year? Was it properly, Rash? Was it last season properly, if you will?
Yeah, last season it was sort of formalised. It had been talked about and had been done in various guises, but the committee got together and decided, listen, there's a big player pool here, but we need to have some structure, we need to have some content, and we need to give these players international exposure, because it's a massive step up from county championship to international level. Not everybody makes it, and some will. Yeah. So you need to find a proving ground if you want. So it was formalised, it was structured. They had a wonderful time last year against the West Indies, Australia and the USA. Clean sweep in the West Indies, clean sweep in the USA, and arguably should have won 2 out of the 3 games against the Australians. So that was the thinking. Can we get players through? If they perform well, then they've got an opportunity. I think, like you touched on, they've got an opportunity to get into that senior squad.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're 100% right, Rash, and you can see that with what happened last summer. I think that what's really important is it's not just, mate, for the lads who get the opportunity to play for the Lions. It's also, I think, for the lads who've been unfortunately left out. You can only pick 11 or 12.
Yeah,
and if lads are really got into the England team, just to be jettisoned to nothing. It's good that you can come back into the Lions and then perform well again and then get another chance with England, because I think that's just as important as it is for, the new lads coming in like I was new. Because I think what we found is that I agree with you that it's a step up against some teams, right? But it's not a step up. If I'm playing Yorkshire or I'm playing Derbyshire, for example, the two opening bowlers were excellent. And Richard Merriman got a brilliant 89. He's still a class batsman.
He certainly is.
On a tricky track. And he won the game. He got an 89. No, that's simple as. Now, Richard has stepped down because of age, and he's 60. He said to me, I think he's 67 or 60, whatever. But he's still an absolute class batter. So if you're going to retire because of the age, and I get that, we've got over 65s coming, we've got over 70s. But I think if you're 61, 62, 63, 64, 65 even, if you get left out, you should have something to go back to, because you're obviously still a good player, you've just not made the final cut. So I think in both ways, Rash, I think it's an amazing vehicle because it allows new players to come in and get the chance, and older players to go, lads who've been left out to come back into it. But I think what's important is, obviously playing Australia, the step up is massive, but when we played the USA and the West Indies, obviously they weren't nowhere near as strong, were they, as what we thought they were going to be. And that's not been disparaged to either nation. At the end of the day, you've got to travel across the world. It costs a lot of money, and you can't expect them to have a full strength side when they're coming so far. Yeah. So I get that. But I just think it's an amazing. The atmosphere in the Lions, I've not been lucky enough to play in the England side yet. Hopefully I will do one day. But I think the atmosphere has been brilliant. Jason Court's been great as a great leader. Paul Gelder's done a fantastic job. And there's a real spirit. And I think it helps a little bit that, playing for England is more pressure. First team, I get that. But there's been a brilliant spirit about the Lions, and that was carried on in India, mate. So the answer to your question, I just think it's fantastic that having the Lions. I think it's a brilliant idea.
It is, and with so much talent in the Lions squad, I just think it keeps those people in the England senior squad who maybe have been shoo-ins for the last couple of years just looking over their shoulder a bit. And competition is what you want, and healthy competition is what you want. And then I think, from my own personal view, I think it's a great initiative, and long may it continue.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
well, that's your cricketing thing. But listen, you're a star, aren't you? I mean, I can't believe you're lowering yourself to come on to this rubbish. Nah, you're a broadcaster as well. Inside Edge, been going a few years on BBC Radio Lancashire, out on Wednesday evenings at 7:00. Is it, Bart? Is it 7 o'clock?
6 till 7. 6
till 7.
Yeah.
And also football commentary. So how did those things come about? Start with Inside Edge first.
Yeah, to be honest, Rash, it's usual me, isn't it? Waffling on as always. I was very lucky, Rash. I was chairman of Longridge Cricket Club when we won the Palace Shield in 2017 or 2018, and we then got promoted to the Northern Premier League. But if you win the Palace Shield, it's been a tradition for many years. The chairman of the club, it's his responsibility to thank the executors of the Palace Shield and all the people who volunteer to keep that club, the committee members, to keep that league going. But I've been to a lot of dinners, as you can imagine, over the years. I used to go to every one if I could. And every time you got a chairman up, Rash, they always talked about how great their club was for winning the Palace Shield. And we had a great team. And I used to think, well, that's not what the remit says. It says your is just to respond on behalf of the committee. Thank you,
Yeah.
So I thought, if I ever get in that a chance of when if we win the league and I'm chairman, I'm going to thank the selfless people who give their time and years of time to keep the Palace Shield League going. So luckily, I got the opportunity. We won the league quite easily. Won 19. I was first year as chairman. They had to make one or two big decisions, which I did. We changed the captain and whatever else, and we had a great season. Won 19 out of 22 league games. So we won the league easily. And we're driving to the dinner over at Blackpool, and there were three lads, four of us in the car, and he said, "Have you got your speech sorted, Barty?" And I went, "No." no, I'll do it off the cuff.
Oh,
And there's like
no.
300 people at this do, Rash, right? So it's a big dinner, yeah. But I can't. I'm no good with written stuff and reading it. I've got to do it off the cuff. So I've written nothing down at all. So we're having the dinner, and then they say, right, on behalf of the Ian Barton, chairman of Longridge Cricket Club. So I get up and I just did it off the cuff, and I just turned it completely, mate, onto the people that, like I say, the volunteers who run cricket clubs, but the volunteers who run the Palace Shield. Because if you don't have them, mate, you've no league.
Yeah, you've got nothing. Yeah, you've got nothing.
And we complain about umpires, and we complain about secretaries doing this or whatever. Everybody can complain. We all do it. I know that, but I just thought this is my opportunity, and I just laid it out basically, thanking all these selfless people at the Palace Shield, the executive committee, the umpires, all the people who run cricket clubs. There's so many people give thousands of hours to cricket clubs every year to keep this club keep the clubs going. And if we don't have them, if we don't have these volunteers now, the clubs are finished. And that's a real issue, I think, for me, in the fact that so many people are taking money out of cricket clubs now. The amount of players that are getting paid is absolutely, and amateur cricket clubs, it's mindless. It's absolutely mindless. And yet you've got chairmen and secretaries and everything else, all the committee people and whatever else, who get nothing to keep the club going. And so, I just basically went all about that. And luckily for me as well, Rash, that night, a gentleman called Tom Howarth, who's Mr. Longridge Cricket Club, me and Tom's a bit older than me. Tom's 80 now, but 80 odd, but he was 80 at the time. And I turned it on to Tom as well, because he'd given a lifetime to Longridge Cricket Club, and he actually, the following year, got the lifetime award from England, from the ECB, for his services to cricket, to recreational cricket. And Tom had kept Longridge Cricket Club going before I got there, but for him it would have disappeared probably. And so I managed to turn it on to Tom, and it was really emotional because we got a standing ovation off everybody in the place, and he was in tears. And it was great. And on the back of it, basically, Radio Lancashire, I think the sports editor or whatever was in the audience. So he rung me up the next day and went, "Do you do that for a living?" And I said, "No." I said, "I just do it off the cuff."
Waffle.
Yeah, waffle. Yeah. It's a waffle. So he asked me to come in, and that's how I got the gig, really. But I'm listening to that and my passion for the game, and he said, "You can come and help present Inside Edge." So I went and did that, mate, yeah.
And he hasn't looked back since. I mean, this one, listeners, if you want to catch it's Nigel Martin. Good chat with Nige, didn't you? This week.
What a lovely fella he is, mate.
Yeah, he is.
And you know what he was saying, bud, as well. He'll do anything to raise the profile of the vets cricket and amateur cricket, and he's had so much time being pressed on. He was before the game last week and whatever else. But I just rang him up on Tuesday morning and said, "Nigel, really big favour. Andy Bays has asked me, would you be able to come on Inside Edge tomorrow, just to talk about whatever last week and in general." And Andy knew him. It's funny because Andy Bays used to interview him when he was at Everton, when he was a goalie at Everton. Andy was working at Century FM, and they remember each other from then. But
wow,
yeah, I know. And it was just brilliant. And he epitomises, for me, Rash, what's amazing about overage cricket, or seniors cricket. It's just the PR that we can get out of Nigel as well. I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's such a great story, isn't it?
Well, it is, Ian. I mean, going back to it, when I was speaking with Paul Bradley, normally the tweets that England send out, the tens of thousands and what have you. But when Nigel was included in that squad, Paul rang me up. He said, "You're not going to believe this. I think on X, it was over 250,000. It's just ridiculous." And I know there were a lot of, I didn't make it to seating crew because I wasn't driving back up the A1 after getting rained out at Marton the other week. But I know there were a lot of coverage, and it's great for seniors cricket. It's great that Nigel's been included. It's great that you're included and you've got a voice for it, and other people. And I just think it gives them the opportunity to think, yeah, listen, there is a pathway for us, as if you alluded to. If you're good enough, if you want to stick at it, the mental health aspect is great, the physical aspect is great, and it's a good setup, and it's going to go, hopefully, forward and continue in this vein with better players coming in and more opportunities. So, yeah, I fully agree with you. So that's Inside Edge. What about your football commentary then?
Yeah, that was a bit lucky, really. I obviously they employ co-commentators most of the time. They're ex, obviously, Blackburn Rovers players from when Rovers were obviously Premier League, and people like Kevin Gallagher, who won the Premier League, Mark Atkins, Colin Hendry, David Dunn, really good players. But I think what happened was the first gig I got, mate. This will apply to Nigel really. The first gig was, and rang up and said, Andy, Barty, do you want to do co-commentary on the Rovers? I said, oh, God, I'd love to, mate. Yeah, I've no experience at it, apart from, watching Rovers for 50 years or whatever, longer probably. I said, yeah. I said, when you're looking? He said, Saturday. I said, this Saturday? I said, I thought, shit, it's sorry about that. It's Plymouth away. So I said, Plymouth away? He went, yeah. Oh, I thought, all right, yeah, I get why none of these boys want to go down there, yeah. So that was my first game, Plymouth away, and I absolutely loved it, mate. It was about 3 years ago. I went with a lad who Adam Cotcher, who commentates on BBC 5 Live and BBC TV. Adam picked me up. Yeah, it was a nice day, right? Yeah, he picked me up at about 5:30 in Longridge. We drove down to Plymouth for a 3 o'clock kickoff and got back at 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, wow. So it was a nice day. But I tell you what, being next to people like him and you're brilliant at commentary. Adam Cottier, oh my goodness, from when the teams walked out and you're next to him with the cans on, it was just different gravy. It was absolutely brilliant, and it was a real joy to work alongside him. And then I've done a few more games. I've only done one home game, Derby County this year in the 150th. But I've done a few away games. Sunderland away, we won 5-1. I've done Bristol City away. I've done different away games, and it's a brilliant experience, Rash. Particularly, when I'm a Blackburn Rovers fan.
Yeah, you're a fan, aren't you? First and foremost, if you can't get on the pitch wearing the blue and white, that's the next best, I would have thought.
It is, and it was quite funny, but because he said Andy Bass said to me at Bristol City away, he said, whatever you do, Bart, if we score, you don't shout. Right? Well, I said, God, Bristol City was my first game about 6 years ago, sorry, not Plymouth. Plymouth was the next one. And so we got a corner after about a minute, right? Rovers never score from corners. Anyway, they did this intricate move where basically the lads were in, quick 1-2, knocked it out to the edge of the box, and a lad called Bradley Johnson, who used to play for Derby.
Oh, yeah, left foot.
Left foot, you remember Bradley, yeah? Well, he absolutely laced this, right? Top corner after about a minute and a half. We never scored. So you can imagine what I did, yeah. So, and Andy smacking me on the knee, like, no, you can't stop. So, yeah, it was a bit. I didn't get off to a good start, mate, because I was that shocked that Rovers had scored from a corner and Bradley Johnson had scored from 25 yards.
Now, listen, Barts, we're coming to the end of the interview, sadly. Yeah. So we're asking all our guests the same 5 questions, but it's not the traditional 5 you may get asked. So if you're ready, here we go with number 1. Which part of your game has actually improved with age, even if no one believes you?
I think, Rash, to be fair, because of the wickets getting better, and obviously I played on wet wickets, uncovered wickets, and really bad at Longridge and Lancashire in the 80s and 90s. I think my back foot play, Rash, because I never played off the back foot, mate. At Longridge, it always kept low, so you always went forward and you become a predominant front foot player. But as I've got older and played on better wickets and truer bounces, and I've learned to play a lot more off the back foot.
Well, it's certainly standing you in good stead. Number 2, if your cricketing style were a vintage item, what would it be and why?
I looked at this question and thought, I really, really don't know, mate. My cricketing style, fluffing out. Can I come back to that, Rash? It's gone over my head, that one.
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, you can do. Well, go on. Number 3, if you could give your younger self a cricketing slap, what would it be for?
Well, that's an easy one for me. I was too my passion when I was young was too much passion to win games of cricket. I was, you just basically I still got a massive passion to win, of course I have, but at times I was just too intense when I was younger, mate. I had white line fever, really, Rash.
Yeah.
The amount of people that I walk over that line and just become a different person, and then get back in the bar afterwards. And I'm sure loads of people listening to this can relate to that as well. And as you get older, you mellow. So my teammates at Lancashire will think, crimes, he's mellow. I'd love to have seen him if he's mellow now. But that's the one thing, buddy. And when I say it to me, it's really funny when I say that to my teammates, and from yesteryear, who are all still really good mates of mine. We still go watching the first team, and other, and they all say, and even opposition and players I played against in the league team, and they all go, no, not with you, Barty. So you don't want to change the way you are, but I would. Personally, I would change the way I was.
Okay, fair enough. Number 4, which rule of cricket would you rewrite purely for the benefit of older players?
I wouldn't rewrite anything. I think it's just amazing that we can play cricket at 60 plus years old, 70 plus years old. And I love the fact massively that we don't change anything. The rules are the same. I know there's walking cricket and walking football and whatever else, but I just think it's amazing that we are still playing the same game of cricket that we always did. Obviously, it's slower. We know that. we appreciate that. But we don't need to change any rules because we can still play the game of cricket in the right way, and in the right way, but also with the same rules. And I think that's unbelievable, Rash, at our age to be able to do that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't change anything.
Well said, sir. Well said. Well, we've come to the final question. Do you want to go back to your vintage item?
I'm still thinking about it. Let's go to the last one. I don't know if I can answer that. Right, go on, mate.
Okay, so complete this sentence, Ian. Being over 60 in cricket means?
Feeling young again, having the opportunity to be in a dressing room full of like-minded people. It just means so much, and it's so brilliant for mental health and for caring for people in the right way. It's just the best for me, the best.
Yeah, well said. Well, if you can't think of one for number 2, your cricket style, I'm going to say like a gramophone. You put the disc on, you wind it up, and you just let it go, and then get the full enjoyment of what you're listening to. And that's you in a nutshell, Bart, isn't it? And you bounced in to Marton on Thursday last week. It was raining and the lads there, and as soon as you came in, there was a big smile on their face. And like you said, you went round everybody and said that. And it's an infectious personality that you've got. Absolutely delighted from sitting in that, getting trench foot we were at in the West Midlands last September to where you've got to, mate. It's a real joy to see you break into the team. You're having a great summer, and I hope things go on for you and force your way into that England senior squad. You're more than good enough, my friend. More than good enough.
Thank you, Rash. That's so very kind of you. I really do appreciate that. And I really appreciate the fact you've asked me to come on the show, and I'm quite humbled by it. So thank you.
No, you're more than welcome. Well, there you go, folks. That's our guest today, Ian Barton, Lancashire's Ian Barton. And let's have the footnote, Lion skipper. Even if it was for one match, it's one and done. Bart, thanks ever so much, mate.
You're welcome, Rash. I hopefully see you soon, buddy.
Yeah, you take care. Well, that's
bye-bye.
That's it. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's it for this episode. My thanks to our special guest, Ian Barton, and to my colleague Harrison Burridge for all he does in promoting England and the England lines. And thank you to Gary for his question, and to Martin and Philip for their suggestions. Now, the episode notes list all the ways you can keep up to date on England over 60s cricket, with links to our various social media platforms. And the episode notes also contain the fan mail link, which you can use free of charge to get in touch with us, to submit a question, or get in touch with your observations and suggestions. Or you can email the show. A reminder that our email address is willowstowisdompodcast@gmail.com. My thanks to Buzzsprout for hosting us, and for the technical help and assistance of Audacity and Orphonics. Please like, share, subscribe, and review the podcast, and you can find us via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, or via your usual podcast provider. Now, next time around, we'll have a roundup of the 3 fixtures taking place in June and preview the England and Lions fixtures in July. There'll be some more of your listener questions, and we will also have a guest interview. Who that is, I'm not sure as yet. And there'll be a news segment in the podcast as I share some of my own personal highlights from commentating on England seniors cricket over the past couple of years. I've been your host, Rash Mahmood, and thank you all for listening to Willows to Wisdom, where age isn't a number, it's an advantage. So until next time, it's goodbye from me, and thank you.